So I've been wanting to make a DDR video for a while. Well, let me rephrase that. Maybe it's not a DDR video, but a video talking about DDR, Dance Dance Revolution. Uh, I didn't know what to talk about specifically, whether my love for the game. People have asked like, well, why do you love it so much, or what's so great about it? And it basically combines two of my loves in life: exercise and working out, and video games. So like that combination, whenever I make these top 10 or my favorite games of all time, really I should put Dance Dance Revolution as my favorite game of all time, because it's also one of those games that's never ending. Like you can easy to was it easy to pick up, impossible to master. Like you could always improve. There's no end to it. It just depends on how much better you want to get. Um, but I mean, really, besides that, what else can I say about the game? Is like, oh, I really love the game. Well, okay, well, here's the reasons why DDR Dance Dance Revolution is such a great experience for me. For one, the musical stylings, because it's from Japan. There's such a variety in that game versus something like Guitar Hero, which was like very steeped in like, you know, all those games are very all the songs in Guitar Hero or Rock Band are all kind of popular music or like guitar heavy. It lends itself to like a small space of music. And unless you like with Rock Band, how they did all these expansion packs, that's how they really opened up and started like experimenting with other music. If you want to buy the DLC, you can. You don't have to though. So you can ignore this complete genre of music. One thing that was so great about Konami and the DDR and that Bemani experience, let's say Bemani is that was their like genre of music games. They really branched out. They had rock music, they had pop music, they had like, you know, some funky music, they had the anime themes. They really explored a bunch of weird genres, which was really great for me. And it will always sit well with me, that experience of going to an arcade, playing random songs, and then just coming across these random songs that you're like, oh my god, that was so fun to play, because the steps went along with the music, and the music was always so happy and poppy and upbeat and goofy that was the some of the most fun I had. So yeah, I think that's part of it. Also, there was like this socialness to the DDR experience, because you would go to the arcades and you would like meet people, and overall, I think the community was really accepting and fun. It was weird. It was really weird because it was a completely different mixed bag in the height of the popularity, because you know, there were some people out there to be assholes, or there's some people out there to try to get good, and they would bitch and moan and complain when this pad's fucked up and it messed up and it didn't read my thing. And there, you know, I remember there's people who would go to the arcade and they would play the same song 4 times in a row, and for me, I never understood that. It's like, why would you play the same song 4 times in a row? For me, I always just wanted to, you know, try a bunch of different songs and play. It was always about passing the songs and never about trying to get them perfectly. Yeah, and then there'd be people who you'd meet and you'd be like, hey, can I play with you? And some people would be like, yes, and some people would be like, no. It was just really a very, very big, wide variety of people that you would meet. And it's funny because especially now I feel it's a lot more closer, tight-knit community, because I feel like there's a lot less of those people around now. So when you go out there and you do see somebody, because it's completely changed. Because I'll go and play stuff now, stuff that is way more impressive than when I first started playing. But like passerbyers will be a lot less like impressed, right? There was a time when I would just go play the most basic of songs, and people were like, "Oh, look at him! He's moving his feet. 100 combo. That's amazing!" And now I'm out there playing doubles, playing much more difficult songs, flying back and forth on the pad, 250 combo, and people are just like walking by, like, whatever, some dude playing the game, which doesn't affect my enjoyment of the game. I'm just the sheen, the impressiveness, the awe of Dance Dance Revolution has definitely fallen apart. And I've been thinking about recently, like, why that is and why there hasn't been this new generation of players coming about. And I was talking to one of my friends, and I think what I've come across is that it really is a stage. Dance Dance Revolution is a stage, and it takes a certain type of personality or at least a certain amount of braveness to get up there and do it in front of people. Even now that people don't care, when the game came to homes, like you could just buy a pad and play at home, I think that's kind of when it kind of blew up when I was in college. But try to do that now. Like, you can't walk into a Best Buy or a GameStop and just say, "Hey, let me pick up a DDR pad." It's not doable now. And so because there's not this easy, accessible way to play at home, to casually just walk into a store and pick it up, I feel like people are less... Because I've seen people like walk up to the machine and look at it and like, "Ooh, I would like to try it, but I don't want to look like an idiot." And even I've seen kids are like, Mom, can I play? And then the mom's like, "Yeah, sure." And they swipe the card and they get up there. And like Konami has it set now where they have this like tutorial mode when you're playing. They're like, "Oh, left, right, play DDR." And then like after the tutorial's done, the kid's like, "Okay, that was fun," and turns around and just walks off. And I'm like, dude, you still have like three songs to play. You just played the like... Yeah, I think Konami has done a very bad job of like ushering new players, probably because there's no actual like American... The American cabinets and Japanese cabinets, those are two different licensing... The way they license music is completely different. So there's like a Konami America and a Konami Japan, or at least this is how it was when... Like, if you look at all these DDR machines that are here, they'll always say, like, not for use outside of Japan, because the licensing for the music is set up for their territories. So, like, any of those real DDR machines you see in arcades are always ones that are imported from Japan and are not supposed to be played in America. At least that's how it was. It's funny, because I'm curious as to why people... Well, I'm not curious. Let me take that back. Like, I'm a pretty shy guy at certain points, but for some reason DDR I was always okay. At this point, I've failed so much. I've done so many embarrassing things. I've been made fun of by kids when I was playing DDR. People were like, "Hey, look at that guy," and they'd like point at me, and I've been on the arcade playing. Like, at this point, at 38 years old, I don't care, man. I've failed people in front of huge crowds before that. It doesn't really affect me enough to not play anymore. Maybe if there was a huge crowd building up now, I'd still get nervous, but like, I'm confident in my ability, and like I said, I've failed so many times that it doesn't, like, that stuff doesn't really bother me anymore. But I think there isn't a way to guide people into it now. And that's one of the reasons why people are less willing to play. I don't know how people would play that game now. If you... like, I'll tell you this story. Like, one of the last times I went to go play recently, there was a guy playing, and he wasn't very good, and that's not a problem. And I remember I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, can I play with you?" And he's like, "Oh, I just started playing. This is like my first or second time, so I just started playing." And I was like, "So?" Like, that's how it goes. There was a time when I went through that. I was like, "Yeah, so it's okay. I'll play with you. Like, we can play together. You can pick whatever songs, and I'll float you through it. It's not a big deal." And he's like, "No, it's okay. I don't feel comfortable." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I remember he sat down and okay, so I'll play my songs, and then when I'm finished, he can play. No big deal. And I remember I started playing mine, and like, I remember I felt him like watching me, and then he just turned around and walked away, like as if like, "Oh God, this guy's so much better. I'm out of here. I'm embarrassed." And I wish I had a chance to talk to him and just be like, "Look, dude, who cares? This is how you get better, is you play with other people. You talk to other people. Maybe like when you have problems, like issues with finishing certain things, they can give you insight. And by watching other people who are better than you, that's kind of also how you learn. Is like, I went through the process, and so there's nothing embarrassing about you going through that. But I mean, he just turned around and walked away, and I never saw him again. And maybe I'll run into him in the future in Houston at this arcade. But yeah, I don't know. It's DDR's come a long way. There's been a huge arc of its progression, and like me getting back into it this year has been actually pretty fun and amazing. I'm actually okay not playing with people, because when I go to the arcade, I just want to play. I don't want to sit there and wait. And socializing is nice, but I'm at a point where I want to go, I want to play an hour and then get out. I don't want to go and play like an hour and a half and only play like half the amount of songs that I could play. So I don't know. I mean, if you guys have any memories or experiences with DDR, by all means, I'd love to talk about them. Leave them in the comments. I'm probably going to do a video. Are you guys interested in learning? Because I can do a series where I talk about... There's like levels through where you go through. Like, this is the thing. Like, all newcomers, I'll just say it right here. All newcomers, the thing they struggle about is they always reset their feet. So they'll hit left, but then they'll reset and hit left and reset and hit left and reset, which is actually hurting you because you're making an extra step that later on you don't want to make that extra step. You want to left and leave it out there, and then right, and then left and right. Because if you're resetting, you're making an extra step every time. That's the best. That's the first immediate. I did that. I thought it was cool when I was playing it. I was like, oh, I'm going to be the guy who resets my feet every time. You can't do that, because when you get further into the game, you don't have time to reset your feet. So, I mean, that's the initial... When I see newcomers, that's the initial first thing that I always see them do. And if you can get comfortable with just stepping and then leaving your foot on it like this, and then always leaving it on it, that's the first initial barrier that if you can do that, you immediately will progress to the next step. Yeah. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.